Yeah, Sean, just curious, what are you seeing from Kyron Williams the last couple of weeks? I know his carries have been limited, but so far, what do you think about Kyron?
Think he's done a good job. I think he's a guy that can play on all three downs, conscientious, kind of like what I've mentioned, mature beyond his years for a rookie, and be good to, get him more involved these last few weeks if we're able to.
Why is that with the limited carries? Just because Cam's been playing so well lately?
Yeah, I mean, and also, we've had less snaps. I mean, I think you look at it, we had 17 offensive snaps in the second half compared to 41 for them offensively. And so your just opportunities are, a little bit more limited when they were able to, kind of possess the ball. And then in some instances, we aren't able to extend drives.
Gotcha. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, just real quick. I know you went over the injury report with us yesterday, but what are you expecting in terms of practice today? Or walk through today? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be just kind of same as.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as you sort of continue to evaluate Baker, are there some specifics you can get into what you liked and maybe what you guys are hoping to work on after watching what he did from Monday night's game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's one play at a time. It's kind of playing within the framework of what we're asking, but there is such a unique element to it relative to the amount of moving parts around him, and then just with how recently he's gotten here. So I think anytime that you're talking about, the quarterback, when it comes to the pass game, you're talking about, all right, your decision making, your accuracy, the timing and rhythm that you're playing with, and then when things go off schedule, how are you able to kind of create on your own and have that kind of stuff come to life? And so those are the things that we consistently look at, Jordan. And that's what we'll continue to evaluate. I think that there's a whole lot of layers that make it very different and more complex than any scenario or situation that I've been through, but thought there were some good things. And then there's some things too that he can certainly learn from. And, it's not exclusively to him, where there's a lot of moving parts up front and at the skill positions, with guys that are playing for the first time, and he's certainly playing with them for the first time as well.
Yeah, if I could just expand on that for a minute too, because he mentioned on Monday night in his press conference about some of the checkdowns early on that he wanted to see, but I would imagine timing and repetition with receivers has a little bit to do with that. And looking at some of his stats on some of those shorter before the sticks throws, a little bit of a dip this year. So I'm kind of wondering how you guys sort of scheme those back get him into a rhythm in that regard, and also establish that timing on some of those, I guess, more layup style throws.
Yeah, I think, it's just like you said, on even some of the play actions, just understanding where your underneath outlets are. And it's things that, sometimes I know I can take for granted, where, all right, well, this is, if it ends up being a 3-level throw, but you're not really, cognizant of, oh, well, where is that third level coming from based on how we final formationed it, whether it was with a motion or somebody coming from a different location as opposed to just the back being that outlet. And so, there were some instances that, just when you have continuity or when you have experience, you kind of immediately know, okay, 1, 2, where's my check down? Or, being able to quickly exhaust your progression if you're getting 5 eligibles out in the pattern. And those are things that it's why what he did was so unique against the Raiders. But I also think it creates a false sense of expectations, just based on the nuances that position entails week in and week out, with the plethora of different things that you can kind of activate. And that's kind of where we're at. But it's, it's something that he'll continue to improve on. And we got to do a good job of being selective with the types of things that we want to do, relative not only to him being so new with us, but also the amount of guys and turnover that's occurring around him.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Gary.
Sean, in light of all the injuries that you guys have had, I know we've asked you about like the receivers that stepped up and with those opportunities. Are there any other players, and I know there's a lot of them that have, but that come to mind immediately to you, of guys that have really taken advantage of the fact that because someone else is down, they've, capitalized on that opportunity?
Yeah, I think I think when you look at it, I think a lot of those young defensive linemen, I've been really pleased, with Bobby Brown and the way that he's played. I think you're seeing a lot of opportunities for Michael Hoyt, and then even in the on the back end, it's been really good to see, guys like Jacoby Duran and Rush Yeast. Quentin Lake got a chance to play for the first time. So those are the guys that would come to mind, for me, whereas a lot of the guys that, Kyron's a guy we want to continue to be able to see. I think he's done some good things with his opportunities, but those are the guys that come to mind for me.
And then, you're coming off a week where you faced Joe Barry as a defensive coordinator, a guy good friend of yours who you've coached with. This week you've got Evero. Are there any particular challenges when you are scheming against guys that know you so well?
I think they'd probably be better equipped to answer it, but it's, each of those, even though there's some similar foundational philosophies and principles, it still is relative to how you want to alter and adjust, your defensive scheme with those principles around your personnel. And I think both Joe and E have done a great job of that. And I bet you if you ask them both, what our offense has been in terms of the types of things that we're doing and where we're at now, it's a very different thing. So I don't know if they really know, because we don't really know what we're going to do until we know who we have week to week, Gary. I wish I was joking.
And finally, for me, do you know, did you have a relationship at all with Nathaniel Hackett before he became head coach? And I'm just curious, your first season as a head coach went pretty well. His has been a struggle. And so I'm curious if you've had any communication with him throughout the season in terms of, how to handle that or anything related to that.
Yeah, I really, Nate's a friend of mine. I haven't spoken to him this year, but I obviously am very close with E, and, you keep in touch with those guys, and Dwayne Stukes and Marcus Dixon. So, I think in a lot of instances, as you kind of continue to go through different things, you learn. I've mentioned that a lot this year, Gary, and I think each adversity and each challenge is unique to the circumstances and the situation that you're dealing with. But you got to continue to, fall back on the core values that you have. Nate's a great coach. He's a phenomenal person. And, I think they've done a pretty good job of navigating through it. And they did a great job against Arizona last week.
Thank you.
And we'll wrap up with Maria, then Stu.
Sean, you kind of talk about all of the moving parts involved in all of this. I mean, this is virtually a different team than the one you started with.
Right.
From a coaching perspective, what kind of a challenge has it been for you in the last several weeks just to kind of get your game plan together?
It's been very challenging, and relative to who you have, who you don't have, what are the things that you're able to do? And then how does that relate to, getting ready for the upcoming opponent and attacking them? So it has been challenging, but all you can do is immerse yourself in the process, pour into these players, focus on those things that you can control. And you have to continually remind yourself of that. And I've mentioned that to you guys before, Maria, as we've kind of talked about it, throughout the whole season. But what does make it easier is the resilience and the consistency at which these guys come back in the building and continue to work and compete to the best of their ability. And you want to continue to really focus on, all right, where are those small victories? Where are those things that you're seeing that improvement? And that's where we go. And that's our job. I think when you look at it as a coach, your job is to help give clarity to the players, but help them play at their highest potential and try to put them in good spots. And as long as we continue to focus on that, and then guys are doing everything that we ask, that's all you can do. And that's what we're going to continue to do for the last 3 weeks remaining in this season.
For you, your perspective as a coach, do you feel like you've leaned on your assistant coaches and coordinators more during this time, or not really?
I think you always lean on them. I think that's been a consistent theme throughout, the 6 years, where you always lean on those guys. Have there been more challenging times this year than any other? No question about it. Where you do want to lean on those people, whether it be, coaches, players, or, whether it's your family, your close friends. And so those are things that kind of help you figure out the best way to navigate through and not be afraid to be vulnerable either. And admit to, hey, these are challenging times, but how do we try to equip ourselves with the knowledge, to be able to continue to move forward in the right manner while not being naive to the fact that we're still all human. And so those have been things that, have been very challenging, but you do know that great growth can occur if you appropriately handle the challenges that are presented to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sean, with Ben Skoranek being out for the remainder of the season, have you guys identified yet which players might be candidates to see more opportunities in that wide receiver rotation?
Yeah, it'll be kind of the same as, you'll continue to see Tutu, Brandon Powell, Austin Trammell. I mean, you're getting down to it where, you don't really have opportunities to get other players up as much as it's just, the guys that are currently on the roster have to be able to step up. I mean, it's been so many guys, that you're really getting down to it where you don't have the luxury of being able to just kind of go get new people and things like that. So it'll be the same cast of characters.